From the sky, one can see the Minnesota River at New Ulm is 4 times its normal width. At ground level, homes in the Goosetown neighborhood along the river are underwater or threatened.
We've seen a lot of success stories, but this is evidence of something that didn't work out too well. This house was built in 1911, very close to the river, although it's still 200 yards away from the bank. They tried to build a berm, they tried to build a dike, they tried to sandbag. Nothing worked. 4 feet of water inside the kitchen now. What do you want to do?
Well, we really don't know yet. We have to see once when it when it dries out whether it pays to repair the building or tear it down.
We took out a rowboat into the backyards of these homes to get a better look. Outbuildings high and dry in normal years, up to the eaves in Minnesota River water.
The Minnesota River crested at about 811 feet here this afternoon in New Ulm at about 1 o'clock. And it was through Herculean efforts by contractors and neighbors of this hometown in Minnesota that these homes were saved.
We had literally thousands of people, and the feeling that just permeated everything was just euphoric, like we won. And all we could think last night, if that thing fails, the heck with the houses, the poor people that put so much time and energy and effort into feeling like they were really accomplishing something.
Governor Carlson stopped by Mary Ellen Domeyer's house to find out how the dike was holding. He came at about the time the good news broke, that the water was receding. We've rowed out a little ways to show you this line of trees, which usually represents the riverbank of the Minnesota. But let's go this way, 150 yards, and you'll see how far the rising waters of the Minnesota have encroached on Goosetown here below New Ulm. The dikes and the sandbags have held. The river is dropping slowly, only 1.5 inches so far. And the folks in these threatened homes say it will be August until life on the banks of the Minnesota River at New Ulm returns to normal.
Breckinridge is a city under siege. For the second time in days, the raging Red River is again on the rise. After dealing with one crest, folks here are bracing for yet another, only this time higher and more damaging. The weapons of battle are sandbags.
Unbelievable. You know, the winter that we haven't experienced ever up here, and now this, and they're just staying at it day and night and hanging in there, so.
They're not whipped yet, huh?
Not yet.
More National Guard troops are in town, keeping all but emergency workers out. George Colbert is throwing in the towel, unable to save his home of 35 years that's never before been flooded.
Everything in the basement's ripped out on the first one. I'm waiting for the second one now, so there's nothing left.
Yet just a few doors away, Stephanie Allen's home stands in defiance of the rising river, and with hopes the hard work stands the test of time.
Try to go anywhere in western Minnesota and you'll see scenes like this. And you'll see signs like this. Dozens of major roads and highways are closed. And once you get to towns like Breckinridge, you'll see more of the same. From the ice rings around trees, you can actually see the situation is getting better, that the levels of icy water have actually gone down. The National Guard has evacuated hundreds of residents, but there are a few who've refused to leave, including Sally Smith, who lives alone and is 8 months pregnant.
And I didn't want to go because my little bird is here, and they wouldn't let, when they came to evacuate us, they said we couldn't take our pets. So I wanted to stay and be with my bird because we have no heat and he'd probably die.
She and her bird Chili not only don't have heat, their phone service is out too because of the storm. They do have electricity. Her oven is heating her apartment, and the Minnesota National Guard is checking in.
The National Guard, they've been by at least 2 times every day, and they come and they ask, you know, do you need food? Do you want to get a message to somebody? Is everybody okay? And this one medic, he came and he kind of tried to get me to go. You know, he really wanted me to leave, and I said, I don't want to go. I'm okay here. It's okay.
At all entrances to the town, there are National Guard checkpoints. Non-residents have been coming here to gawk at the sights of the iced-in cars and streets.
When you look at the streets here, things don't look too bad until you try and walk on them. There's 2 and 3 feet of water underneath this ice level, but things have actually gotten better here. Right here at this fire hydrant, the ice was up to here yesterday. It's actually gone down because the water underneath it has gone down.
But the crisis is far from over. The National Guard helicopter had to rescue a Breckinridge couple. Their phones and power were out. They'd been stranded for 5 days. The county's entire 911 system is also out of operation.
Our 911 system there, it's being routed over to Wahpeton, North Dakota right now. If they receive the 911 call, then they call over on intercom over to us and let us know where the call is going, and then we respond to it.
Wahpeton, North Dakota is also helping out by hosting this Salvation Army shelter. More than 100 people, most from Breckinridge, are staying here. Among them, Gloria Reisdorfer and her family.
This place has been great. If anybody asked me I would be in one of these facilities, I would have said no, but I tell you, when the chips are down, it's nice to know that we have help.
But I think 97 really set the benchmark for a major flood.
Steve Boan and Mike DeWeese were young hydrologists at the National Weather Service in 1997. Both recall the wet fall and record snowfall that led to the flood of a lifetime.
This is really something that built up over November, December, January, February, March, and really unleashed, historically almost late after spring had already started.
20 years ago today, the flood fight was over as a swollen Red River breached sandbagged levees. Volunteers had worked at a furious pace to build. Suddenly, thousands of homes and businesses were underwater. From the air, the devastation was breathtaking.
Came back for a couple belongings, and away we go.
60,000 residents were ordered to evacuate, many sheltered on cots at the Grand Forks Air Base.
You can replace things, you can't replace people. And so it's that getting that warning out.
But when you thought it couldn't get any worse, it did.
We can't get trucks in there. The hydrants are under water. We have no pressure.
Fire broke out in a flooded block of downtown Grand Forks. It could only be fought from the air. 11 businesses were eventually lost. But with so much devastation, could we ever again see such a flood?
One thing we've learned over the years is you can always expect the unexpected. So Mother Nature has a way of teaching us new lessons every year.
For a couple belongings, and away we go.
Are under water. We have no pressure. So very difficult to